Over 66,000 in closed deals in 6 deals part-time. How much time are you committing to your real estate business?
So I'm calling typically about 5 to 8 hours a week.
Awesome.
And then, a follow-up is included in that as well. Maybe not as much as I would like, but also perfection is the enemy of good. Well, I can't call for 20 hours a week, so I'm not going to do it. No, just pick up the phone.
That's
one
it.
call, 2 calls, 3 calls, because you can put your head on your pillow at night thinking, I did something.
That's right.
Because you only have today. You really only have today.
Let me tell you how incredible the real estate business is. You don't even have to live in the state that you find incredible discounted properties. You don't have to do this business full time to be able to go out and find incredible deals. You can have a full-time job that you are committed to, and you're going to see it through to the end so that you get a pension or retirement or whatever else. And you can do it if you live in a major market where maybe the prices are really high and you feel like you have to compete against people that have really, really, really huge marketing budgets. And I'm going to prove this to you in this incredible podcast conversation, because I've got James Birch here from Monterey, California, who does business in Memphis, Tennessee, works full-time, like extra full-time, and still finds an hour or two every single day to commit to his real estate business, to his real estate dreams and goals. It is my pleasure to introduce James Birch to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. Welcome.
You down with TTP? Yeah, you know
me. That's it.
Thanks for having me, Brent. I really appreciate this, man. Thank you so much.
Well, listen, I'm excited to share the story because you have a lot going on. First of all, you served our country in the Army, which is absolutely incredible. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now you're serving the community of Monterey and being in law enforcement, and you're serving the community of real estate investors and distressed property owners in Memphis, Tennessee. So this is absolutely incredible. I want to unpack all of it. I want to share your story with everybody. But why real estate? We talked before we got on the podcast, and you said, I'm not a stock guy. I'm certainly not a crypto guy. I'm a real estate guy. And to put on top of this, for everybody watching and listening, he also owns, James and his wife own 20 rentals. 19 in Memphis and 1 in Indianapolis. So why real estate?
To keep the wife happy. No, I'm just kidding. Because honestly, everybody's got to live somewhere. I live in a high cost of living area, Brent. I rent. I know what it's like to be a renter. But what I did is I took my dollars and I went to Memphis, Tennessee, where my wife was born. We've been investing for a while. I think my money goes a little farther there, and it's a slow game too. I'm not the kind of guy who can wake up and watch the stock market, the ups and downs. I mean, I can, and I've done that, but it just makes me go crazy. Whereas, every month, just provide safe, affordable, functional housing as a landlord, and same thing as a wholesaler. You just find the need that people have. Basic need is housing. Everybody's got to live somewhere.
I love it. And your cash flow, does it cover your rent?
It sure does, yeah.
Right.
Plus a little extra as well. And that's the thing you want to do. I mean, at least like a yield guy. I'm not a speculative guy who invests, for appreciation. Basically just yield. You have to look at each rental property basically as its own business that has to pay for itself.
Yep.
Plus pay you a little bit to hold it.
Well, listen, more and more people are coming out, James. Really high net worth people are coming out and saying, hey, listen, rent the home you live in and put all your money into your rental properties so that you can get that cash flow, because it truly is. I mean, listen, the house that we live in is a liability. I own my own house, but I'm telling you, it costs New things need to be improved or need to be renovated or need to be fixed every single month.
Right.
And it's a lot. It's a lot of liability. It truly is. And the bigger house you have, the more that you have to deal with that. And they're saying the smart money is on going out and maybe not buying, the house that you live in, but putting all that money into investments instead, buying these building your rental portfolio. What do you think about that?
I think it's smart. Plus, the tax benefit as well, as if you can become a landlord, is great. But, each individual circumstance is different. Some people, who I know who bought 30 years ago in the Bay Area, sitting on a ton of equity. So joke's on me for not doing that, but I just wasn't around at that time, not aware. But yeah, I just like that monthly yield.
Yeah, listen, I think listen, you bought all these properties, it's paying your rent, you're able to live a great lifestyle, you get to, you're 15 years in, you're 5 years from a really good pension, and you're putting your money into whatever excess money that you have into your rentals, and you're going out and you're talking to property owners every single day in Memphis.
Yes,
I think it's incredible. I think it's an incredible strategy to just keep, piling in and buying assets as opposed to just keep throwing it at the liability of owning your own house. I love it. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about Memphis. Your wife's from there. How important do you think it is that you know that market?
Well, I think it's very important. Personally speaking, like I said, I know guys are in virtual markets and do very well having never been there, but I've been investing there since 2015. That's where we originally started buying single family residences. So at least I feel like I have a little bit of background with that market. I was investing, fortunately, in a market that was going up. I was able to take out some equity, purchase some more. But like my property manager, some contractors, even now that I've been with you for a year and been wholesaling a year, just the relationships that I've made. I guess there's that saying, you'd rather go deep than wide.
Yep.
It's like I'd rather really get to know a market, know its cycles, than try to spread myself too thin, because, again, know thyself. For me, focus is an acronym. Follow one course until successful. That's really what I'm trying to do.
I love it. I love that acronym, and I'm going to steal it from here on out.
I stole it somewhere.
Yeah, good. Okay, good. I love that. So just to let everybody know, and we'll break down some deals here later on in the episode here, but over 66,000 in closed deals in 6 deals, part-time.
Yes. But I think about it full time.
Sure.
But my job is very demanding. I really have to be there when I'm there. When that alarm goes off at 3:45 a.m., sometimes it's a grind. But fortunately, I'm very thankful for my career. I have a lot of gratitude. And like I said, when I'm there, I'm there. But the benefit from starting my shift early is I get off fairly early. So usually if I don't get held over, or I'm home by like 3:30 in the afternoon, which is 5:30 in the Memphis. Come home, regroup, kiss the wife, pet the dog, throw on my TTP hat.
That's right.
And just, for me, I think you've said this, Brent, it's about, for me, emotional management, because some days are so tough that I'm driving home and it's like, do I have the energy to get on the phone? Do I have the energy to work out? Well, the less you think about it, and if you just act, 90% is just getting started, picking up the phone or whatever it is.
Yeah, they've done study after study after study, and the amount of energy that we waste in the transitions in life is what really is the quicksand. That's really what holds us back and slows us down, is transitioning from, okay, I'm doing my job, my 9 to 5, to, okay, I'm driving home, now what type of thing. And all that energy that we spend thinking about it as opposed to just doing it, just getting done, boom, get home, kiss the wife, pet the dog, get on the phone to get it done, and then the whole rest of the day is yours. And so if you looked at an average week, how much time are you committing to your real estate business?
So I'm calling typically about 5 to 8 hours a week.
Awesome.
And then, follow-up is included in that as well. maybe not as much as I would like, but also perfection is the enemy of good. Well, I can't call for 20 hours a week, so I'm not going to do it. No, just pick up the phone.
That's
one
it.
call, 2 calls, 3 calls, because you can put your head on your pillow at night thinking, I did something.
That's right.
Because you only have today. You really only have today.
100%. And exhaustion is the best pillow. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And exhaustion
Yeah.
from taking the work, not from worrying that you
Right.
didn't do the work, or beating yourself up that, oh, I should have done that and I'll push it till tomorrow. No, you got it done. Listen to James. You're 100% right. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen in your life. We can only live right here in the present, being able to control what we can do in today during the times that we have. And if we get to the end of the day and we have the ability to go hunting for great real estate opportunities, that should be exciting.
Absolutely. It gives me a little bit of zhuzh, a little juice just to get on the phone and even get the no's, because, it's like 200 to 1, right, Brent?
That's it.
100, and you can break it down. 180 people will flat out tell you no. 15 will tell you maybe, but it all comes down to that one. And even if it's a numbers game, right? Even if you lock up that one contract, which I've learned, I've locked up a couple that have been too high. You learn.
Yep.
I'd rather not lock up something that I know is too high, because ultimately I don't want to waste somebody's time. I don't want to waste my time. I just want to find the people who are looking for me. And that's what we get to do. I get to come home from work. I get to get on the phone, and there's a stream of humanity that's passing me by, and I'm just reaching out my hand to it. Some people will grasp onto you. They'll let you go. Other people, you'll finally get to the shore, meaning, you'll close a deal, you'll solve their problems. And the people who I've helped out by closing on their properties, we remain friends.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear the gratitude in their voice. It's really a special position to be in, but you need to have fortitude in order to get on the phone, deal with the no's, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have boots on the ground there? How do you? I mean, you're building these great relationships. You're talking to people. They feel they know, like, and trust you, but then they never meet you. How does this happen? Like, I remember the first time I heard somebody was doing, lived here in Phoenix. It was a buddy of mine, and he was doing deals in, like, Dayton, Ohio. And I was like, how is that possible?
Right.
Like, don't you have to put your personality to it? Don't you have to be, like, knee to knee, belly to belly with these owners? Don't they have to, like, really, you have to be around them for them to actually sign a document that's going to transfer the ownership of their biggest asset to somebody else? Like, how do you handle that?
Well, I handle that just by constantly being in communication with these folks. And I haven't you've had that where people say, yes, I want to sell my house today. Then they end up ghosting you.
Yep.
Typically, the people who I've done deals with, they'll say, yes, I'm interested, but I'm not ready. So then I just follow up. I show them who I am. I follow up. A lady who I'm talking to now, my wife and I, we just got back from a trip to Iceland. And I was sending her photos of my trip to Iceland because I want to do business with people that I like. And
Sure.
Same with them. Even if somebody wants to sell their property, but they're very rude, I don't know if I really want to do business with that person. So to answer your question simply, Brent, it's 2022. Mm-hmm. Now with COVID and everything, maybe some people don't even want to see you, knee to knee, belly to belly with
Sure.
them. You can DocuSign everything. I've got some great JV partners in the city of Memphis and Shelby County. But if that person's need is big enough and they see your heart and your transparency, they're likely going to do business with you.
Awesome. And how do you find buyers that you can trust to sell these deals to?
Sure. So what I did is, and we talked about this before, I don't even really consider myself a wholesaler. I just consider myself a phone prospector. Because all of the steps, the 17 steps that it takes to, find a deal and go through closing and get paid.
Yep.
I have a JV partner, and how I found that partner was right when I got started last year. I just looked on Facebook and I just saw which companies were doing a lot of deals in my market. I reached out to them, talked to the acquisitions guy, So me and James Alston, who works for Volunteer Buyers in Memphis, via Spencer Shadrack, who you know, I just contacted them and I said, hey, I got some deals. And I think James was skeptical at first because he's seen a lot of people come and go, but then I would come to him with deals, and he and I have done some pretty good business together. I mean, when we do the deal breakdown, I can kind of tell you what we did, but
Yeah.
you don't have to do it all. That's the thing. Like me, if you work a more than full-time job, you likely don't have the bandwidth to do everything. So find somebody, create a win-win relationship, just split everything 50-50. And that's it. And then I learn along the way. Like I see what he does and I go, man, I just learned a lot from that deal. Thank you. So it's like I'm learning and earning while I'm just picking up the phone and getting leads.
So do you feel like you'll always leverage somebody like in a 50-50 relationship where you find the deals, they sell the deals, or do you feel like at some point you'll want to develop the whole package? Because in building any real estate business,
Right.
there's three parts, right? Lead generation, conversion of those leads into a signed agreement, and then there's the exit strategy. What we're really talking about is the third piece there, the exit strategy, which is basically you can buy it and flip that property, you can buy it and hold that property, or you can assign that purchase agreement for a assignment fee or a wholesale fee. So that last part, they have all the buyers. Do you have any thoughts on building up your own buyer database? Are you feeling like, you know what, life is good, let me just do what I do, stay here and just find the deals and sell and have them sell it?
Well, I'm of two minds, Brent. Yes, I would love to, do all this, the whole process and keep all that income for myself. But also, like I said, I just know thyself. I have certain limitations due to time and other things, energy management, that I just, or maybe I'm making a bigger deal out of this than it needs to be, but I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. So I could envision myself doing that at some point, being a one-stop shop, doing it all myself. But also in the meantime, like I said, before we started this interview, we got we sent out a contract today on another property. So it's like, I don't have to do that. All I got to do is, talk to my partner out there and then get ready for this interview with you. It frees up some of my time to have a JV guy there. Yeah.
That's awesome. Why stay in the job? Why not just, you've got cash flow from rentals.
Sure.
You've got cash flow from your wholesale business. Why stay in the job? You've been in at 15. You got to go 20 to get to that finish line, which I think a lot of people listening here are in similar situations.
Yeah.
Why stay in it? Why stay in it any longer than you want to? Why wake up at 3:45 and deal with absolute, people on their worst day, a bunch of knuckleheads all day long, when you could just be absolute crushing your real estate business? Why not get out 5 years earlier, or in the next 6 months, or the next 90 days?
Because I'm a glutton for punishment. No, I'm just kidding. Golden handcuffs too, you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. That's a good question. And I think about it a lot, but I'm just grateful for my career. And my career is a career that typically you don't just walk away from and you're able to come back to.
Right.
It's like, it's going to be donezo. And I don't know if I'm ready for that just yet, but I think about all this stuff, Brent, but there's only today. And if I don't get on the phones today, that's really where I come back to. Like all these what if scenarios, and I see it a lot with newer people getting started in wholesaling. Like I'm in a wholesaling subreddit, and I see everybody asks the same questions. Bigger Pockets, they ask the same questions. How do I do this? Get on the phone, take it on the chin. It gets easier. Just put yourself out there, and then just day after day, just keep building these skills. And that's what I hope to keep doing. So to answer your question, why not just quit and do this full time? I don't know. I saw my father get fired from a job. He was of the baby boom generation where, he just barely graduated high school.
Right.
He worked for the phone company in California for 30 years. And then in the mid-90s, right as I was a senior in high school, they fired him. And I saw him get completely destroyed by it. So I internalized that, and I thought to myself, okay, what's secure? So, the most dangerous stuff is secure. Military and law enforcement, right?
Yep.
So maybe I'm an old dog and, you can't teach me new tricks. But if I were, a 20-year-old, 22-year-old growing up in this, environment where there's so much technology and you can do so many options. You don't necessarily need college or that. There's just the sky's the limit. It just all comes back to getting on the phone and doing your marketing.
Yeah. Well, I think, and this is just my own personal opinion, I think it's probably because when you commit to something, you're committed to something. You know what I mean? I feel like you would probably feel like you let people down if you bounce too early or whatever else. Maybe not. I mean, maybe I'm just reading it wrong, but I just feel like your personality is one that's like, you know what, I'm going to take this thing to the finish line and kick it and screaming, but I'm gonna fulfill the commitment that I made. And I don't know if you even make a 20-year commitment when you join law enforcement. I don't know. But maybe there's some of that too. And maybe there's some of that other people are listening to are feeling. And so listen, you can still build your real estate business while you're doing it. That's the encouragement. That's the encouraging part of your story of you talking to everybody here is you can still fan the flame of your entrepreneurial spirit, even if you have a 9-to-5. One of the hardest 9-to-5s that you can possibly have in this country is what you have. And you still keep great enthusiasm, great energy, and great passion for this business and for helping out these property owners that are in distress and helping out those investors that are looking for great opportunities. So let's break down a deal, James. Let's do it. Okay. Which one do you want to talk about?
So I'll talk about one of my first. It's my largest one to date. I'd like to talk about it. So we closed on our last investment property last fall, I think October. Rates were really low, but the 1% rule, which I had always been looking for in rental properties, meaning you buy a property for $100,000, it rents for $1,000 a month. In Memphis, that was way out of whack. So I said, I need to figure out something else. I want to try wholesaling. So I started listening to your podcast. I said, who is this guy with tons of energy and great hair? So it's you. Just started listening. And then I basically just started taking some action. I was doing a couple handwritten letters, sent some out. And then I got on Craigslist, called some people. So I was on Craigslist and I called a handyman in the Memphis area. And I said, hey, my name is James. You're a handyman. Do you happen to ever run across anybody that needs to sell their property or would like an offer on their property? He said, I do. I have a friend. She just moved to Texas. She still has her house in Memphis. She's trying to sell it. I said, okay, do you mind if I have her name and number? So he gave me her name and number. I called her. I told her the same thing. My name is James. I'm an investor. Our mutual friend, Zach, shout out to Zach. He said, you might want to sell your property in Memphis. She said, yes, I really need to. Can you call me back? So I think that was like on a Friday. Called her Monday. Monday I called her. She goes, yeah, I just locked it up with somebody else. And I go, congratulations. How much did you happen to lock it up for? And she said, $210,000. And I said, no worries. Would you mind if I just stay in touch with you? And then, I went on and I was trying to make more leads. And so I would follow up with her periodically, like the next couple weeks, text her, call her. Hey, when are you closing on your property? Well, that's a good question because these people haven't ever contacted me back. I said, oh, that's a problem. Do you have a close date? She said, yeah, the close date was like right around Halloween, or I think it was like late November-ish. It was getting to be that time. I was calling her. I said, I can offer you a little bit more than they offered you. Because what I did is I reached out to, James and volunteer buyers, and I said, I have a lead. They said, here's what we can do on it. We can do $212,000. So I said, okay, great. So I went back to the seller, and I said, a little bit better, we can give you $212,000 once your current 30-day contract expires. So I remember she was like driving from Memphis back to Texas, and she was breaking up. She was going over hills, and I was trying to, lock things up with her, sent her the contract because her current one had expired. We locked her up at $212,000. And then I just let my JV partners do their thing, dispo it. They actually ended up closing on it, and then they closed on it and they said, well, do you want your money now? We plan on dispoing this to a hedge fund, or do you want half of that. And I said, well, I will wait and get half of that. So we closed on her property on December 27th for $212,000. What they had done is they put a little bit of money into it. I think they did a little fix up on it. They marketed it. They found a hedge fund. They sold it to a hedge fund eventually for $319,000. So again, they had some closing costs, they had some marketing costs, they had some other costs. So what we ended up doing on that first deal is we split it 60-40. My JV partners kept 60%, I kept 40%. So I finally got paid on that deal on March 2nd. I got my wire. Do you want me to tell you how much that was?
Yeah, I do.
Drum roll, please. So from that, $35,064.36.
35,000. Come on, here we go.
Yeah. You can ring my bell. Yes.
Listen, a ton to unpack there. I mean, that is absolutely incredible. So just real quick. So you started talking to her in October-ish. They were supposed to close in November-ish, and you got paid in early March.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
And how much money did you personally invest into the property?
Zip zero, stingy with De Niro.
That's it. And
just myself. I mean, really, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but even now, I don't spend that much money marketing. I do a virtual driving for dollar thing. I look things up on Free People Search because this side hustle to me, I don't want to have it like constantly draining me.
Right.
So I keep my expenses very, very low. So out of that net, zero expenses, just my phone bill.
That's it. That's it. That's what I'm saying. I mean, they. By the way. How many times did you walk through that property?
Zip zero.
Zero. Stingy with De Niro. Might like that wrist. Wow. I mean, $35,000 from one phone call, essentially. That was the seed of it. That was this. Well, from an initial phone call. And then a lot of follow-up. And so some real big takeaways for me is, one, you have to do the follow-up. You have to, even if somebody signs a contract with somebody else, if you go with a very kind and optimistic tone and you have that certainty and you're just checking in on them as a human being, you're not going there to try to, pour some sort of salt on this deal, sort of try to make it a little bit, do you really trust them? None of that type of thing. It's more, I'm here if you need me. That's the better approach than trying to go in and trying to make it a negative situation that they're going through. It's already negative in their mind. Don't compound it. So I love that you did that, James. So just be there for them and follow up with people. The other one is, I thought that this was really great because you have a 9-to-5, because you have 20 rental properties, because this is you don't need the money right away. You were able to be patient with it and wait for them to close the deal. What was your guy's name?
James.
James.
My JV buyer?
Yes.
Yeah.
James was able to get this deal closed. He was able to clean it up. He was able to sell it to the hedge fund, get more than you would have if you would have just gotten an assignment fee. And you don't have to worry about it because it's not where you're not paying your bills with this. So it's just,
absolutely
right?
Absolutely, and that's probably the main reason. I couldn't think of it in the moment, Brent, but that's probably why I don't want to just quit my job, because I don't want to feel like I'm so ravenous and have to get these deals. I just don't want to work with that level of, just
you're risk averse.
Anxiety,
you want the security, right? You
absolutely.
you don't want to think about it all the time and let it be like a knife hanging over you. I get it.
Absolutely.
I totally get it. So you were able to wait for your money. You were able to squat up. You were able to get a deal that had fallen through. You were able to get the seller more than they were getting before because you truly cared. And I think that that's a huge important lesson to learn there. I mean, it's incredible. At 35,000, and then you take that money and you're like, hey, honey, guess what? We're going to Iceland. On
Why
me.
not? Let's go see a volcano.
Let's go see a volcano covered in ice, if that's a thing. Who knows? But absolutely incredible. So that's great. That is a great breakdown, and it's the absolute truth. And did you hear what he said? He does virtual driving for dollars, which means that who do you do it through? Is it Deal Machine?
No. So I don't even
Google
have
Maps.
a subscription. Zillow. So what I do is I like a street. You can go into the street,
right?
Click on the property, and then you can get the parcel number. Then I go to the assessor's website, plug that in there, find out who the owner is, and I can put the address in freepeoplesearch.com.
Yep.
Write it down, and that's what I do. Then I write them on here.
Yep.
And I just go through the list, and I just call.
There's more efficient ways, but
I know. I mean, I'm an old dog. I don't know.
You could pay $50 for Deal Machine and skip all of that nonsense. Yes. But
I know,
listen,
Brett.
Yeah, I get it.
But I do have one thing to say. Speaking of technology, so we do own rentals. So I actually did Luke Rothvold, your guy with the triple line dialer. Actually, I reached out to him and I said, I'm going to do a triple line dialer. So I did it for a little bit, but it's way too fast for me. I felt like I was burning through a lot of money, wrong numbers, whatnot. So I like to slow it down. I like to just I hand dial, like I said, that's what I do, old school, whatever.
Yep.
But something out there for other wholesalers, like because we own rentals, we get a lot of phone calls. And a lot of them are scam likely. So I would plead with other wholesalers out there, make sure that you constantly are getting good numbers for your VAs, because I get, 15, 20, 30 scam likely calls a day, and other wholesalers are probably just wasting money on that.
Yeah.
Go in, refresh your numbers so you're not paying your VA. But if those guys are if people are so desperate that they're picking up scam likely calls, then they're going to sell to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, on my YouTube channel, on the Brent Daniels YouTube channel, we have a whole breakdown on how to keep your caller ID nice and fresh so that you don't have a scam or most of them are spam likely that they come up as. So incredible. James, give some advice. Somebody's just getting started. They're ready.
Yeah.
They're ready to make their first call. Let's get real specific. They're ready to make their first call to a stranger and talk to them about, when do they plan on selling their property? What do you think they should do before? What do you do before you get on a call to make you feel confident?
Well, what I do is, as I'm driving to work, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Also, what I do is I journal. I journal words of affirmation. I've been journaling, for several years. So it's all about mindset. But I get it. The phone can look like it weighs 500 pounds. But odds are nobody's going to answer anyways. And what I do, Brent, I count no's. I have a whiteboard in my room right near my bed, and I tick off every no that I get.
Yep.
I want to know because I don't want to waste any time.
Yep.
But what advice I would give somebody gearing up to make their first call? Make the call tomorrow, make 2 calls. The following day, make 3 calls, and just keep going. But also find somebody in your local market who trust, resonate with, and just be like James. Just all you got to do is just be a prospector. You don't have to figure out from soup to nuts this whole thing. Just be consistent. That's all you got to be.
Yeah, the best way to figure out this whole process is to go through the whole process, because no matter how much education you have, I mean, until you go through it and see each part of the deal, it's just theory in your mind, and it's a little different than when you go through it than it is in your mind. It might be a lot different than what it is. So. Well, thank you for being on here, James. How can people reach out to you if people want to connect with you, if they want to do business with you in Memphis, if they want to connect with you in Monterey? How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so my email, solutions, REI, SOULTIONS, solutionsrei@gmail.com. Oh, and also, by the way, Brent, I got to thank you for Prime Corporate Services. I never would have And also, that's the other thing I think people need to do. Get your LLC. That way you feel legit. You'll that kind of takes you from being an amateur to a pro. Get an LLC. You get the business write-offs. I'm sure, Brent, you can give people info on Prime Corporate Service, but they've really helped me out as well.
Yeah. Yeah, they do it complimentary. I mean, they basically set up your business for the filing fees because they want to work with you to help file your taxes and help build business credit for you. That's really their main source of income. So they set up, they've set up over 100,000 businesses. We'll put a link to that in the description so that you can go right there. And that's awesome. James, this podcast has been incredible, but there's one thing to put the cherry on top. We got to see Cody on here.
Cody, he ran away. He's upstairs with Mama so he doesn't bark.
So every time James sends me a text of his closings or how many people he's called, you see this little cute dog in the background, Cody.
That's my boy.
And he's around.
That's my boy.
That's his guy. He's an incredible cute dog. Well, anyway, thank you, James, for being on here. Absolutely incredible. Everybody in Memphis, everybody that maybe you're just in law enforcement, maybe you're in the military, maybe you're you're out, your time in the military is completed, and you want to reach out to somebody that has incredible perspective on what that life after that is like and how to get into real estate. Reach out. He's an incredible human being. I think that you can all feel how incredible he is on this podcast. So thank you, James, for being on here.
Thank you,
and if you're interested in joining the most proactive group, the most proactive community in real estate investing, it is Wholesaling Inc. It is the TTP program. Go to wholesalinginc.com. wholesalinginc.com. Check out what it's all about. Check out the incredible people in this community like James. And if it feels good in your gut, I encourage you to sign up for a call, and I look forward to working with you personally. And that's it. On behalf of everybody at Wholesaling Inc. and the Rhino Tribe, I encourage you to go out there and talk to people. Until next time. Love you guys. See ya.